All right, everybody, we live. Thank y'all for waiting, man. If you was waiting, we know you was waiting. So usually we do this every week from 6 to 8, and today we're just a little late. We up against the Super Bowl, we up against technology, but we still here. I'm not for sure that they opened it. I know it was in the plans to be open. Yeah, hold on. We finna get to that. Y'all jumping the gun. First of all, we still celebrating Black History Month. Yeah, we still celebrating Black History Month. And this week's guest we wanted to bring in, we definitely wanted to highlight somebody making Black history, especially in the Austin community, because this woman is the spearhead of the first Black-owned grocery store that'll be coming to the Austin community. I remember meeting her when she first started this journey. You know what I mean? It was listening to a little bit of her story, which inspired her to start to get the store started. And I'm so happy to see that, in 2023, right around the corner, this store will be functional, fully operated and serviceable, right? A fully operated and serviceable grocery store for the Austin community that residents literally can roll out of bed and walk to. So, can it? Yo. Hold on. Can they? I don't think they can hear me though. Yo. Yo, can y'all hear me? Yeah, we can hear you. All right, good. Okay.
But we can't see you. I mean, we can't mute you out. I don't know.
No, they muted. They good.
Okay, good.
All right, y'all. All right, so y'all missed a nice little intro out here. Doesn't even matter though, because we're gonna go ahead and get the show started. We got Liz in the building, 40 Acres Fresh Market.
Yes, got the name right.
Yeah, vibes. Liz, go ahead and introduce yourself to the individuals that's already want to know who you are.
Hi, everyone. My name is Liz Abuno. I am the founder, owner, operator of 40 Acres Fresh Market. 40 Acres is a grocery business. We've been operating in Austin for the past 4 years as a mobile produce vendor with pop-up markets. We run the city market at Austin Town Hall. We do delivery service, and we will be moving into the former Salvation Army building. That is going to be our first brick and mortar store. So that work is currently in development, and that development is in full swing. Like it's progressing, it's moving, and from my lips to God's ears, we'll be opening in 2023.
Absolutely. All right, so let's start with the beginning. The founding of 40 Acres Fresh Market. Again, as I was rolling in the intro, I talked a little bit about meeting you, right? And I don't want to go into how exactly this came about, so I'm going to allow you to do that, So 40, where did it come from? 40 Acres Fresh Market.
How we met? Like, I don't remember how.
It was a community joint. It was out in the community.
It was outside. Were we doing the gardening thing?
It had to be. It was. Yeah, it had to be.
Me to garden. I don't grow anything. I don't. Yeah. So I'm not from Chicago. I didn't live on the West Side. Mm-hmm. I had no clue where Austin was. If you asked me anything, I've only heard about it on the news. And as most people, if you hear about Austin on the news, it's rarely anything positive. Had just no clue. And so I was running an errand that said it was at like 5300 West Chicago Avenue, somewhere around there. And so I was like, oh, that must be near O'Hare. Because it's really far west.
Right.
But if you go far enough west, you're either at O'Hare or
you were partially right.
Or you're at, what's that other one called? Why do I want to say LaGuardia? I'm from New York. It's not LaGuardia. It's
Midway.
God. Midway, yes. You're either at O'Hare or Midway. And so I was like, oh, cool. The areas near O'Hare, they're pretty nice. Cool. I'll hop on the 66 bus. I'll hop on the 66 bus so I don't have to look for parking because I know the parking situation. And I'm just going to run this errand. It's going to be easy peasy. So I get on the 66 bus, and the directions to the store tell me to get off at Chicago and Laramie. And I get off at Chicago and Laramie, and I'm like, this don't look like the area near O'Hare. What is this? And so I'm like, I see the Laramie State Bank building, and I'm like, is that a bank? Wait, is that open? Is it like,
Yeah.
is there something in there? What's in? Oh, okay, no, that's boarded up and closed. And then I'm looking, and I'm like, okay, liquor store, chicken place. And at that moment, I'm like, wait, I need cash. And so I am a very cheap person. I do not believe in ATM fees. So I was like, cool, let me just go find the nearest Chase, and I'm gonna take some money out of the bank. So I hop on the Google that the good Lord gave us, and Google was like, there's no Chase around here. There's no bank around here at all.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, there's no bank. Bet I'm gonna go to CVS or Walgreens, buy a pack of Reese's peanut butter cups, and get cash back because I'm not paying a damn ATM fee. Oh wait, there's no CVS, there's no Walgreens. Okay, bet.
Yep.
I don't want to do this because I don't want to get stuck in line behind somebody with a big cart, but I'm just gonna go to the grocery store and do this. Oh crap, there's no grocery store around here. So then I'm like, wait, that's money, healthcare, and food that I can't find on a major commercial corridor. And you look around, and I'm like, you're black, I'm black, we're all black together. Why are there no resources on this commercial corridor where we're all being black? And something just doesn't sit well with me. So I remember walking from Laramie to the marathon over at Chicago and Chicago and Long. And
Yep.
There's nothing here, and I'm like, I don't want to use this gas station ATM. It's going to charge me an arm and a leg. Like, this gas station looks a little
sketch.
I mean, you said it, not me.
No, I'm from here. I mean, listen, I know what time it is.
So I was like, I'm uncomfortable, dog. And yeah, so I ran my errand. I got the cash. I ran my errand, and I hopped my black ass back on the 66 bus heading east, and was like, okay, got out of there. But that experience stayed with me. It stayed with me, and all of a sudden, I started looking at the neighborhood I live in a little bit differently. I started looking at it like, oh, there's a bank here that I can just walk.
Now, which neighborhood do you live in right now?
West Town.
West Town, okay.
So I'm directly east.
Yep. I'm in West Town. Well, technically, that's where I was just for the last couple of years raising my child. Humboldt Park, but they've since actually changed the zip code to include the area where we live to be West Town as well.
So parts of Humboldt Park are technically West Town. I think if you're east of the park, you're still technically in West Town. You know, when I was looking for my condo, they started calling Humboldt Park they started calling it West Ukrainian Village.
Wow. We call it Humboldt Heights.
Oh, okay. I see.
Humboldt Heights.
It's kind of like what they did in Bed-Stuy. They started calling it Bedford Heights.
Wow.
I'm like, dude, that's Bed-Stuy. You can't do that. You can't. That's do or die Bed-Stuy. Stop it. Just stop it. But anyway, as I was saying, I started looking around at things, and I was like, why doesn't this exist on the west side? Why doesn't this exist over there? And there was a store, it's since closed, it's called Stanley's. It was at North and Elston, and it was a low-cost produce store. I was obsessed with Stanley's. Loved it. I would drive by a Jewel and a Mariano just to go to Stanley's. And I think I was buying strawberries in there.
They were there for years.
They were,
I was buying strawberries in there for like $1. And I was like, yo, I'm in Lincoln Park, one of the richest neighborhoods in Chicago, buying strawberries for $1. But why doesn't something like this exist over there? Somebody should do that. And then one day, you ever find yourself having the same conversation with people over and over again? And I kept having this conversation about my experience in Austin and how something like Stanley should be over there and how somebody should do it. Until somebody was like, well, why
don't you do it? Facts.
And I was like, well, sure, how hard could it be? It's really hard.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I think not knowing what I was getting myself into was probably the best thing for me, because if I knew, I wouldn't have done it. But since I didn't know, I could just dive head first. So I remember
you succeeded by failure.
Exactly. So I think the first thing I did was, once again, I was talking to somebody, and he said, I know a reverend at a church in Austin. I should put you in touch with him. And that church turned out to be St. Paul Lutheran. I forgot the reverend's name. St. Paul Lutheran on, I think it's Menard?
Yeah. It's right around the corner.
Yeah.
Where Roman goes.
Okay.
And so
Iowa and Menard.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So I met with the pastor because a friend of mine from school was like, why don't you just show up in the neighborhood with fresh produce and see what happens? Just see, like, if people buy produce. Because, you hear like, oh, the neighborhood needs it, but then you have people kind of saying like what we were talking about the Instagram comments, like, well, there's a reason there's no stores over there. If there could be money to be made, they would. Those people don't want fresh food.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, let's just see. And so I talked to the pastor about it, and I kind of like massaged the idea. He told me if you want to do anything in Austin, you need to talk to Malcolm Crawford.
Okay.
I spent probably a year trying to get in touch with Malcolm Crawford. I would call, leave messages, like stop by, Sankofa would be closed, and just could never get a hold of him until one day in late 2017. I stopped by Sankofa and Malcolm was there, and I'm like, I've been trying to talk to you. And Malcolm, love him. He kind of looked at me like, girl, you crazy? And was like, look, screw it. I'll let you use the community room free of charge, and you can hold your first pop-up market there. And the rest is...
It's history now. You just kept building momentum. So what's the background that sets you up for this?
And once again, what's the name again?
40 Acres Fresh Market.
40 Acres Fresh Market. Yeah.
That's the word 40, not the number. So if you want to look us up, it's the word FORTY, 40 Acres Fresh Market. What's the background that set me up for this? You know, I wasn't trying to set myself up for this. This was not in my plan of actions. After college, I graduated college in 2002, and I went to work for General Mills after college. And I worked for General Mills for 10 years. And I left General Mills to come to Chicago to go to grad school so I could get the hell out of the grocery industry because I hated it.
Okay.
I was over it. It was boring. Like, in the words of Blaine and Antoine, hated it. Just done. Zero snaps.
Funny, yeah.
And so, after going to business school, where one of my concentrations was entrepreneurship. What was very interesting is I concentrated in entrepreneurship with no intentions of starting a business.
Wow. Okay.
My plan was to, like, if I could work for a startup because I had sales experience, I could come in and like business development or sales and work at a startup that was well enough funded to get me paid, but still early enough to get me equity.
I hear that.
Very fine
I hear
balance.
that. Oh yeah, I hear that.
And that, but I mean, that was like an option. I was like, oh, okay, I could probably do that. But like starting my own business, I was like, I'm not the person with ideas. I'm not gonna create something. I'm not that creative. I can't. That's just not me. I'll just be an early employee and on the leadership team. Didn't wind up doing that. I actually wound up working for a social entrepreneurship nonprofit for about 7 months after graduation. I once again hated it. And
what were you doing?
I was, fuck if I know. Excuse my language. They had this talent growth initiative where they were trying to match, like, close the skills gap, like all these positions, but all
we talk about
jobs,
that. Oh my God, we talk about that a lot.
Like, get them people skilled up, and also get employers to like. They were so concerned with getting people skilled up, they never really focused on getting employers to rethink the way they did recruiting and their human talent pipeline. So it's like, what's the point of skilling up all these people if you're not working with companies
that's gonna open the access so they can get in there? Right.
So it really felt like I was babysitting somebody's grant, and I was like, I didn't go to business school to do this, and you're not paying me enough to do this. Let me tell you something. You can be underpaid. And you can hate your job, but you should never do both at the same time.
Words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom. Going to hate my job. I am going to get paid.
I hear that.
So I went to Microsoft.
Okay.
And I worked in sales at Microsoft for about 2 years. They had a reorg, and my job was eliminated. And as I was sitting on the call with my boss, and he was trying to like break it to me gently, within about 3 minutes, I was like, wait a second here. I don't have to come to work no more, but you're still gonna pay me for 2 months.
Oh yeah, severance package.
while I look for another job within the company so I can land somewhere. And if I don't, we'll just separate and you give me severance. I get to keep over 40% of the stock you've already given me, and the stock is going up. I still get my bonus. And I looked at my finances and I'm like, I don't have kids to support. My base, cool. Like, I'm good. And then when I started thinking, like, what would I do with my time if I don't have to work? If, like, at this moment I don't need income coming in, what would I do? And this idea for this low-cost produce market on the west side had been percolating in my head since that bus trip a year ago. And so I was like, let's do it.
Yeah, make a way. That's what's up.
Let's just do it. Let's figure it out. So I poured some of my own finances into it, and I went all the way up to Michigan to a retail liquidator. You look at our shopping baskets, they say Staples. It's because I got them from like some random liquidator in Michigan. I picked up grocery baskets. I picked up like merchandising stuff and tables. I picked up like whatever I could think of. I picked up a grocery scale off of Craigslist. I drove way up north to find someone. I was just Craigslisting stuff like supplies I need, and I started with pop-up markets. So yeah,
beautiful. All right, so from pop-up to now vendor placement in the old.
So yeah, the Soul City Community Market.
Yeah, the Soul City Community Market, which is where I went to today. I just want to, grab y'all nuts to go. These were some nice, a nice sampling. I got the mix, right? So there's some cashews, there's some peanuts, there's some pecans, right? And these are vanilla flavored, and then I have some whiskey flavored as well. Not enough whiskey for me, but you know what I mean? Not bad at all. So, while I was there, I also picked up some nice pieces of produce so I could cook some dinner on Tuesday. You all are more than welcome to come and sample the food that I cook, because I cook well. That being said, though, there is opportunities to shop at these pop-ups, right? And so from the pop-ups to where we are now to the future 2023, how did we get there?
So, actually, my second pop-up was in Maywood. A customer came up to me and said, "This is amazing. Maywood really needs this. Maywood has no grocery stores." And
they don't. Yeah.
She put me in touch with Isaiah Brandon, who's one of the trustees in Maywood, and he got me set up with a site.
I feel like I know my man's. I feel like he a part of Rotary, but keep going. I'm sorry.
And he had the village do robocalls, and like 3 times the number of people in Maywood showed up than they did in Austin. Maywood was such an amazing customer base, and we did those markets every month in Maywood for about 5-6 months. So Maywood's really what kept 40 Acres going.
Wow.
And so we would do Maywood on a Saturday, we'd come back into the West Side on Sunday, and then actually do get out the rest of our inventory at a market at Senior Suites of Austin on Monday. And so I'm forever grateful to Maywood, or else 40 Acres really wouldn't have existed, because as much as people were like, "Oh, we think you're doing a great thing," like honestly, people in Austin weren't really checking for acres. They weren't going to the market, and I can't sustain this on like 20-30 people stopping by. It's nice, like the people who do come by love it, but like it's just there's not enough, and it's really hard. Marketing is getting the word out.
Yeah, you do really well with marketing, by the way.
Thank you.
You do really well.
Yep,
you absolutely do well.
Like between the flyers and just me popping up, like showing up places, like, "Hey, y'all want to come to a pop-up market?"
Say, "Look, you be in the violence prevention meetings, like, hey, so I got 40 Acres Fresh Market. If you buy an apple, you will save a life." I'm damn.
Like I had the whole spiel, like give like just one woman army, just marching around Austin. For sure. And initially, like I think that I will admit there was a little bit of hubris on my part, like. There's a need. I'm here to meet it. What's up with y'all? Like, why aren't y'all? Why aren't y'all participating? But then I'm like, they didn't ask me to do this. Like, this is their community. This is like we look alike, but I'm not from Chicago. You can't act like you could ask me what high school I went to. You wouldn't know it. Like, I have to earn this community's trust. I have to earn this community's buy-in. I have to earn this community's support. And so. Like I said, Maywood gave me an anchor so that so that we could actually like move through stuff and get some revenue. And Austin kind of like took its time.
Yeah,
Like, okay,
try to make his mind. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like, is she credible? Like,
Right.
do we believe her?
Right.
Until little by little, I'd say honestly, besides Malcolm, the first people, like, institution-wise in Austin that really was like, yo, we want to rock with her, was Westside Health Authority.
Okay. Right. And that's the partnership that really helped, because I saw you, and I don't know if you still have that location on Chicago Avenue. It was like a storefront, a quick situation that was going on for a while.
Yeah, so that was always their office. So in
Okay.
2019, we started running pop-ups, and we couldn't find a location.
Mm-hmm.
So they let us clear out half their office and turn it into a produce
Right.
market.
Okay. Right. And that's the one where I came to before too.
And I remember you from
Right.
that one too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I want to go ahead and shift. Let me get Zoom. And you all listening, you heard some good things already. Y'all got any questions for Liz? Or even you, Miss Cora?
Well, I'm just happy to have Liz in our neighborhood, and I'm just so excited, and looking forward to meeting her in person.
Okay.
You can usually find me hanging out at a market or somebody's community meeting. When we're all back in person instead of on Zoom all the time, I'm really easy to find. I kind of just show up places.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good.
I got a question. I thought there was a scenario where you and DeAndre met on North Avenue in Central. So was that? Or was
I mean, I'll be out in the community.
where the old
10
where the
toes
old
down.
Pete's, the old Pete's used to be.
Save a lot?
Save a
No.
Lot. That's where Pete started.
Okay.
That was actually Pete.
Nah, we didn't
started-
meet there though.
No, that's not where we're
No,
That
we
was
didn't
their
meet
first store, but they started as a fruit stand. With the
So
go ahead.
It was the Garden. She was right. It was the Garden. It was the Garden. We met at the Garden. I think Chicago Avenue and is it?
Mayfield.
Yeah, Chicago Avenue and Mayfield. It was one of the days I was out there cleaning up in the. Yep, that's what it was. We was out cleaning the garden. That's what it was. Yep.
Okay.
So
Yep.
part of the inspiration.
I got
for
pictures
starting-
from that day too.
Part
One
of
of
the
my phones.
inspiration for starting instead of just finding a retail space and outfitting it and just diving in.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at a lot of the independent grocers and the stories of even like long-term chains that have survived for decades, the origin story is somebody's great, and our founder, whoever ever started as like this produce stand.
He was wheeling the cart around.
With a produce cart or whatever. I was like,
mm-hmm.
that's the way to do it. You start small,
Yeah, that's how
and
it is.
then you build.
40 years later, you like, whoa!
Yeah.
I never even considered that this would be like this. Yeah.
And considering the fact that I've never run a grocery store before, like I've worked in the industry,
Mhm.
but I've never run a grocery store before.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it made the most sense to start super small, start
Mhm.
really flexible, don't have a ton of overhead,
Mm-hmm.
and work out the kinks as you go and learn as you go. Like having a the burden of $15 a square foot or $20 a square foot in rent over your head every single month, payroll every single week or twice a month or however long, whatever that payroll interval is. That's not the time to figure out what you're doing.
Facts. That's a fact.
So for me, me and the staff that I've grown, we get to like learn this business from the ground up. One of the things I love is we purchase almost all of our produce locally in terms of like local businesses. So Chicago has a really excellent wholesale market.
Mhm.
So we go down to the Chicago International Produce Market in Pilsen and get
Okay, yeah.
from the wholesalers down there. And I hadn't been in a while because I sent my staff.
Mhm.
And so they were like, oh, she's here. Like, yo, what's good? Because they've known me because I was the one coming down, for years.
Yeah.
And they're like, you have buyers now. I'm like, I have buyers. I'm like, I'm thinking like $90,000 a year buyers. I'm like, no, but like I've trained a team of people who have never been in this industry how to buy, how to think through like selecting inventory and making sure.
Gotta touch those tomatoes, man. They can't be soft.
Yeah, but
can't have no bruises on it. Yeah.
But like my staff knows like when when to say yes, when to say no, when
Yeah.
we get a deal on something, when we're not. They know when something sounds too good to be true.
Yeah.
Like if they say, yo, I got this case of grapes for $10. The first thing my staff asks is, "What's wrong with them?"
Yeah, for sure.
And
For sure.
they'll tell them, "Oh, they have some issues. You might have to work them," or like, "Nope, we just got dumped with like a whole bunch. And we
Right.
have to get through the inventory.
Right.
All let me see them."
Right.
They're learning those lessons. So if they ever left 40 Acres, they could go to another grocery chain and say, "I have buying experience.
Right.
I have inventory management experience." So
Mhm.
when I first went down to the International Produce Market,
That's how you see. That's workforce development.
nobody looked like me.
That's really workforce development.
Nobody. Like not even not the buyers, very few of the pickers and the foremen. Like I could count on my hand the number of black people I see. And black women, forget about it.
Mhm.
The only black woman I saw was the USDA woman who was going around making sure everybody was like in compliance.
Mm-hmm.
And now you got like young black people in their 20s, early 30s down there.
That's crazy.
Not just as like oh, we're loading up somebody else's truck for them, but it's like, yo, put that on our account.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like everybody's emblazoned in 40 Acres.
Mm-hmm.
And like
with the mule on it though. With the mule on it though.
Like it's not in the name, but the mule is implied.
Oh,
right?
most definitely.
The mule.
That's a powerful symbol right there.
Yeah. So it's
give
like,
us what's owed.
I wanted a name that spoke to us. That the second you heard that name, some people are like, "So that means you have a farm?" I'm like, "You don't get it." No,
right,
yeah.
You don't want to get it because you know.
But if you know,
you know. If you know, you know. That's for real.
Yeah.
So well, I was gonna say, so when the story is finished, right? So what is the expectation? Because I know Austin has been difficult, as you mentioned, to really get that type of support you're looking for. I mean, obviously it has grown over time, but with this store opening, what's the expectation? Do you think that it'll do what it's supposed to do?
I think. Wow, that's an excellent question. I'll be honest, I worry.
Mm-hmm.
Austin still has yet to like show up at the small things in the numbers that I would like to see them show up. Mm-hmm. I get a lot of this, but I don't get like a lot of feet through the door. Thank you for coming in the door today.
Most definitely.
Like, I think sometimes there's a disconnect. It's like, we know we need this, we know we want it. Oh, look, someone's doing it. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
But that next step of somebody's doing what I said we needed and what I wanted. Mm-hmm. Let me bring myself over there and support that because I want it to stay. Sometimes that disconnect isn't there. I'll give you an example. I have seen over and over again people talk about like the food in Austin and how like we need healthier food.
Facts.
This, that, and the third.
I'm one of them.
And then they'll throw an event and all the food is junk.
Facts.
And nobody calls me and it's like,
Facts.
Can I get a box of can I buy a box of apples, or could you donate a box of apples? Could I get oranges? It's like in one setting, it's like intellectually, we need to eat better. Mm-hmm. But then you have this event that kids are all going to be at, and all you're offering them is chips and here's my thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing is, I love a bag of Doritos as much as the next person. But just give people options.
Eat them. Right. Yeah,
you can have the apples and the Doritos. Because maybe kids will take an apple and Doritos instead of 2 bags of Doritos.
Right. Right.
Like.
Right.
And so I think that sometimes we just have this disconnect between what we say we want and what we need.
Cognitive dissonance.
And there's a lot of cognitive dissonance that's hard to overcome because we've developed habits.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard to break out of habits. And you've developed these habits as an adaptive mechanism to what you don't have, that you almost have to relearn how to adapt to what you now
unlearn to relearn.
I remember in the 70s when there was a big push to get away from pork. Mm-hmm. Black people were like, well, we shouldn't eat pork. It's like, why? We've been doing this all our lives. Well, it's these high blood pressure, these heart disease, and so forth. And here we are.
Look,
I threw Tiny's got a question.
Oh, okay. All right, Tiny, come on in now.
Okay, well, 2 things. One, I see God in this. I see God making this happen. And I'm just glad to know that somebody like you exists. And I think it's really great. we have a program, a future program, a gardening program over at Sunrise Church. And I'm with the Peacemakers, but we're doing it over there. And we were trying to find things, gardening and ways that we could feed ourselves and stuff. And you're the answer to that. And so I just want to say thank you.
Thank
And
you.
let me say this about soul food. Eating soul food takes 13 years off your life. So it do difference what you eat.
Oh, no question. I was gonna say it was funny. So yesterday I brought my family over to my place, and I cooked, and I cooked a tomato soup, spinach and arugula salad, right? Yeah, like I cooks, green beans, like the yellow potatoes, because those are the ones that have the really good taste to them when you roast them, and then chicken breast. And so it's funny, like my twin brother came in after everybody was gone, and my lady was there. He, come on, man. Now why you got to let this man cook like white folks? And you know these damn black people ain't gonna eat this. You know what I'm saying? And because my sisters and them, and they yeah, this tomato soup is okay, but I don't really like tomatoes like that. I said, nah, it's just the fact that it's healthy. Cause it was good, you feel me? Like I'm hooking it up, you know what I'm saying? A little Parmesan cheese, little fresh basil on the top, you feel me? And so it was good as hell, but they not used to it. Even my sister was like, "What kind of salad is this?" I said, "Well, this is spinach arugula. Some goat cheese was in there, right? Walnuts and strawberries, right? And I made a homemade vinaigrette." And so she's like, so she eating it, and she was like, "Yeah, I don't like spinach, but this was good though." You know what I mean? I'm just like, that's what it is. You gotta change. You got, man, you know, and that's the thing. Like, and I know I'm heavier than I'm supposed to be, but I'm actually started doing more cooking and meal planning. So I'm actually losing that weight that you know what I'm saying?
So I will say that owning a business has been not the best thing for me health wise.
Okay.
Because I work all
Because
the
you
time,
moving, yeah, you moving.
and like the drive through is easy. So I
Yeah.
I get it. And
Yeah.
like you come home from a long day and
Facts.
you don't feel like cooking.
Facts.
But this year I made a much bigger concerted effort to cook at home, and it's made a huge difference.
Huge difference. Huge
how
difference.
I feel.
Yep.
And the thing is, I'm still making like delicious things. Like a couple days ago, I made orange chicken.
Nice.
But
That sounds good.
But you know what's going. Even if you're eating like something that's a little bit indulgent, you know what's going in it.
Right.
You're the one who's making it.
Right.
Like
you're not overwhelming it with preservatives and added sugars. You can control it. Yeah.
You can control the added sugar. You can control the added salt. You can control the amount of fat and oil and stuff. And so, like, I haven't felt deprived. I haven't felt like I'm missing something because I haven't been in somebody's drive-through. But I do want to say this. I think that our communities don't get enough credit for our cultural knowledge of food. We are this country's first farmers.
Absolutely.
We know. I get very defensive when people are like, you know, you're going to have to teach those people how to cook all these foods. And I'm like,
damn.
No, because we know collard greens. We know our greens. We know turnips.
Beets, right?
We know beets. We know this stuff. Now, look, not every food, not every vegetable under the sun is culturally relevant. But don't talk to me like we don't know what an apple is. Like, don't patronize us.
Right. Like,
when I put a box, I remember going to an event with Build, and Build purchased some produce from 40 Acres Fresh Market. Shout out to Build. And I did peaches and grapes. Those kids I didn't have to teach the kids, this is a peach. This is really juicy and sweet. Them kids tore that stuff up. There was not a grape left in sight. The peaches were gone. Juices dripping all down kids' shirts. Like, this is not foreign to us.
Right.
We know these things. Like, we may not know all the different preparations of something, and maybe not all of our preparations of certain foods are the healthiest, but like, let's stop patronizing and condescending to Black people about food, because that's like, we taught y'all how to do this.
That's a fact. We taught them how to do a lot of things.
Like, don't come at me with that.
Yeah, that's sad. I wanted to. I got you, Steve. While Steve's speaking, could you start to pull up some of those Chicago media? I'm looking it up here, and I wanted to place it on the screen for the people, but I got to log into my Instagram, and I don't really want to go through all of that. So, but I would like for you to read some of those comments to the fact of what people are actually saying about a black-owned grocery store on the west side that actually won a $2.5 million grant.
Technically, 40 Acres didn't win the grant.
Okay.
The development. So can we back up?
Let's do it because we want to let's get some clarity here about what's going on.
Okay.
Right.
So there's Liz.
Mm-hmm.
There is 40 Acres.
Okay.
There is Liz's other business interests.
Mhm.
Those things are not the same.
Right. Understandable.
Or like you shouldn't be your business at a certain point.
Right.
Because that could be very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very clear about separating the real estate from 40 Acres, the business.
Mhm.
Because if somebody fell on the real estate, something happened, I
Mhm.
don't want anybody suing 40 Acres.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So while I am the co-developer and owner of the real estate, 40 Acres is
Mhm.
not. So when me and my partners at Westside Health Authority applied for the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund grant, we applied for it under Soul City Chicago LLC, which is our entity for developing this piece of real estate.
Okay.
So Soul City Chicago LLC got this grant.
Okay, I understand.
None of this is going into 40 Acres pocket.
Right,
I've been telling everybody, I'm
right.
like,
I get that. Okay.
Liz doesn't touch this unless I can swing a hammer, do some framing, some plumbing, some electric. 'Cause it's all for construction.
Right.
And so what the hope is that tradespeople in this community
Mm-hmm.
and
That's a call out.
will,
Tradespeople in this community. If y'all know Wendy, let them know what up.
will when the project goes out to bid, because we have a black general contractor,
Mhm.
Brown and Moman, when
Mhm.
it goes out to bid from our GC,
Mm-hmm.
that those subs, a good number of them, will look like
Hopefully,
us.
come from Austin. That would be
And
beautiful.
Austin.
That would
Come
be
from
beautiful.
Austin, come from the west side.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
at the very least, look like us.
Yeah.
Like,
For damn sure.
but
The
like,
worst
that's-
thing you will see if you're driving down Chicago Avenue is a bunch of people that's not from here building that up. That would be the absolute worst.
So really, like, it's not even
For
like
real.
Liz gets to eat off of this or something like
Real.
that, or 40 Acres does. Like, really, this money
Yeah.
helps us get this built, and hopefully that
Right.
provides, tradespeople jobs and opportunities. But make sure you have your WMBE, so your MBE, Minority Business Enterprise certification, your
Mhm.
WBE, Women Business Enterprise, because they
Mhm.
have because this funding comes with requirements for that. You
Mhm.
have to have a certain percentage on this project. But it can't just be like, well, I know you black and you do construction.
No. Yeah,
Like,
you
have
gotta
to have your certification. So if
Yeah.
you want to work on this project, you want to be competitive to bid, get your certification now.
Yeah.
Please. Okay. So what were we talking about?
Well, I just want you to
Yeah.
read some of the comments.
Yes.
What was you gonna say, Steve?
No, I was just going to bring up there's a big disconnect with younger kids about vegetables and fruits and gardening. They never experienced anything like that. They just think it all comes to the store, And,
Oh yeah.
and the reason I said that several years ago, we had a program where we had a bunch of summer program for kids, and we did gardening right here on the deck. And every morning they were so eager to, let me water my plant.
It's incredible to watch a plant grow and then provide food.
Mhm.
I went to an event at the K. Ryan Center. It was the One Earth Film Festival. Last summer they had a showing, and they were giving away plants. And so I picked up an okra plant. Mind you, plants come into my house to die. That's the only reason they should be there.
Real.
And I managed to keep this okra plant alive. And I can't tell you the excitement when it actually produced its first pod of okra.
Mm.
I'm like, I am a farmer. I grew okra. I can
Man.
grow anything. I am amazing. It's like that comes from your hands. It's so
Yeah.
it's an amazing feeling. So I get why the kids feel that
Man.
way.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, when I grew up, I used to think French toast came in box. It like came in
Wow.
an Eggo box.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even know that it was bread and eggs.
Facts.
My mom can't cook. It was all of the toaster.
A little cinnamon,
The
yeah.
kids literally were fighting over the watering vessels every morning. It's mine. I gotta do my plant. And then when they started to grow, it was like a pet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, most
That's
definitely.
such a
It's
simple
life.
accomplishment.
It's life,
You're bringing forth life.
Yeah.
That then gives life.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. Okay, I got this pulled up.
I was gonna say, like, one of the best tasting vegetables I ever had was some zucchini that was grown in a garden. Garden born foods taste much better than the stuff that we eat today. I swear, dude. And I can't wait to have my own home where I can have, you know, a 6 by 6 foot little small garden, man. For real.
You know,
I
it's
can't wait to do
interesting
that.
with our delivery service. We have a lot of it goes down in the summer, so we get far less deliveries in the summer.
Mm,
And if some of our subscribers will pause about June and not come back till October because they have their own home gardens, they're like, "I'll be harvesting my own stuff. I
Right.
don't need produce right now. I'll come back in the fall." And they
Mhm.
come back, but it's really beautiful to see like people getting in the dirt and growing their own food for themselves.
Mhm.
And so there's a sense of accomplishment. There can be like a very zen experience for a lot of people. So
For
I
sure,
encourage
for
people-
sure.
Well,
Sure.
Corey, you can attest to that. You part of the Austin Green team, right?
Yes.
Shout out. Yeah.
give us a little bit about what you guys been doing.
Well, I think we're probably one of the oldest garden groups on the west side. And we have about 5 gardens here in Austin. And we work with a lot of the youth that's in the area. And we do grow vegetables. And we do a lot of teaching to the youth on how to grow and what to grow and the beneficial,
Factors here.
just growing your own carrots, your own potatoes. And, there's just so much going on. I mean, Miss Liz got me just got all kind of news and 40 acres going through my head. I had, my mind was so much on that more than thinking about the green tea.
Right. It just came into my mind because, well, just to let you know, the Green Team was founded in 1988,
Yes.
and it started up out of Northwest Austin Council with which used to be our president, Miss Leola Span, her sister, which was Miss Mary Peary, that passed. Miss Peary passed what, about 4 years ago now?
Yes. About 2 years
she was
ago.
the founder.
And that's, we hope that this summer, Liz can come and visit some of our gardens.
Absolutely. I'd love to. I love the garden at Build. I got eggs from there once. The eggs were so good.
We would love to have you come and maybe you can do a seminar with us, for us.
Don't ask me about growing. I'm not a grower. I grew one okra pod. You guys are the growers. Like, I think that's the funniest thing is like when people often, you're not the first person who's like, "Can you come and talk to my group about gardening and growing?" I'm like, I never said I grow anything. I sell produce. I don't grow it. I buy from somebody who does grow it. Like I said, plants come to my house to die.
Well, they have some pretty good vegetables.
I killed a cactus once.
You drowned the cactus.
I think you can't start, like, they don't need water, but even I didn't water it enough for, like, it just dried up and shriveled. It's bad. It's like, I'm not a good plant mom.
But yeah, the Austin Green Team, they have, so what would you call
They're
it?
legendary. Like, I hear about them all the time.
Mm.
Yeah, they've been out there. There's one of the gardens right here on the corner of Menard.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Mr. Ferber and Mrs. Ferber.
There are little there's gardens all throughout Austin that people just don't even know about. There's a farm in Austin. There's the PCC Austin farm and they have an amazing farm stand. And I spent a summer selling. So they did all the vegetables, and they said that 40 acres could come and do fruit. And for me, I love this farm, and you'd see people coming from like the suburbs to come volunteer at the farm. But then, like, there'd be days where we might see 4 or 5 people come to the farm stand. And I'm like, but then you hear people say, there's no good food in Austin. And I'm like, or you see on social media all the time people talking about what we don't have. And
Facts.
we don't
I get
have
so
this,
tired
and
of
we
that.
don't-
Oh my
we
God.
don't- I'm like, and then I start listening. I'm like, there's this here, there's this, like, you have this, and this. Like,
Yeah.
you got the kids over at By the Hand Club at Austin Harvest doing their
Yep.
market 3 days a week. They
Yep.
can use you.
Yep.
You got us you got the Austin Town Hall Farmers Market. You got the PCC Austin Farm Stand. All summer, Austin is actually pretty well resourced with like outdoor, really good time kind of markets. And it's like,
Facts. I would say so as well. Yeah.
nobody, either people know and they're like, once again, oh, that's so nice, and then they don't break out of their own monotony to
Right.
go support,
Right.
or they just don't know. And one of the things I was gonna say is that like one of the biggest things leading up to the store is the marketing plan, and we have to put a lot of money into that
Mm-hmm.
to let people know Austin is very fragmented.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is because of all the divestment. There's no place for people to go. There's no
Yeah.
place for people to
A gathering space.
a
you know?
gathering space, like the traditional gathering spaces that people in other communities go to, where they see their neighbors,
Right.
where they
Right. Right.
learn information.
Right.
People don't even go to school in Austin, so you
Right.
don't even have the
Right.
schools
True. True.
as like
True.
a center of social cohesion.
Right.
Like Oak Park River Forest, you go through Oak Park River Forest, every single lawn has. I have an OP, like whatever middle school their kids graduating
Yep.
from, the elementary
Got the
school,
sticker on the trunk and everything.
on the
Yep.
trunk, the yard signs, all
Yep.
this. You don't
Yep.
see that in Austin, but that's why
Mm.
Oak
That's a
Park
good
has
point.
such social cohesion. Everybody knows what's happening in Oak Park,
Yeah.
because they have the infrastructure
Yeah.
that breeds socializing.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
instead, Austin is like a collection of all these little groups.
Yeah. Yeah.
That without like a real place to go,
Right.
or like
Right.
a base infrastructure. So it's very hard for a business like mine, because I have to go to the Leaders Network meetings, I have to go to the AAA-BNA meetings, I have to go to the Nobel Neighbor meetings, I have to go to all these different meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, you're really only touching the people who go to those
Do it.
meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Because
mm-hmm.
if I tapped your average citizen in Austin on the shoulder and be like, do you know what 40 Acres Fresh Market is? They'd be like, no. And I think I've been pounding the pavement and working, trying to get the word out. It's just really hard. When it was just me, it was hard.
Right.
We'll have a team, but it's still like, now you're paying people.
Mm-hmm.
So you add in labor, you add in the cost of advertising. Like it's such an economic investment that a lot of our businesses just don't have that kind of capital to put out there.
Absolutely.
To spread the word, because it's so hard to reach people here.
Well, one of the things that I mentioned as we were walking up the stairs is, I actually the guy's name was Maurice that was selling nuts to go. You know, I got this from the 5713 West Chicago Avenue. Pretty good peanuts there. And I was asking him about videos, like ads, 15, 30-second ads.
Mm-hmm.
So something that we want to do is incorporate those ads into our shows. So if you all, a part of your marketing program, if you hadn't thought about something like that, by all means.
Yeah, so we actually put ads on, I think, V103 and
Oh, wow, okay.
And I think GCI or one of those stations. We have ads running like Wednesday through Saturday about the market. So Soul City Community, in case you don't know what we're talking about, as a precursor to 40 Acres Fresh Market opening in 2023, Soul City Community Market is a Saturday and Sunday pop-up market every single weekend at 5713 West Chicago Avenue. So it's Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., Sundays from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., and it's not just 40 Acres Fresh Market. Part of the reason why we didn't name it, a 40 Acres Fresh Market pop-up is that there's other vendors there.
Right.
And
Right.
sometimes I tend to take up a lot of the oxygen in the room, and I wanted to give everybody a platform to shine from and not be under this umbrella of 40 Acres. So we call it Soul City Community Market because it's on the Soul City corridor and it's for the community. And that community is Austin and like Oak Park. And we want people to come in and shop with a variety of vendors and like a lot of Black owned vendors. And you can get your needs met. Like you can get pantry staples and treats and produce. Like right
Somebody
there.
was selling soap there.
So yeah, somebody else was selling soap and candles there. Like come on in and come shop with us and like make that extra effort and be intentional in not just noticing or not just hearing about what's happening in the community, but then making the intentional effort to break out of your normal habit of, I just go to Oak Park or I'm just going to go to Belmont Cragen for whatever, and come through and build that muscle memory now. That's why we did this too.
Right.
Instead of waiting until the store opened, we have the space. Construction hasn't started.
Mm-hmm.
The building's a little bit janky, but it works. It works, kind of, sort of. And
how many square feet is it?
The whole building is 12,000 square feet. Our store will be 9,400 square feet. So there's actually going to be a second tenant in the building that has nothing to do with 40 Acres Fresh Market.
Okay.
So as a development team, we wanted to.
So it's going to be a store and a what in there though? Or you can't say that yet?
Can't say yet. We're in talks with people.
Okay.
But if you have
but it makes sense though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's not going to be like
some random. Oh my God! You'll catch me in there, man. I'm gonna be like, you know what?
And the 3-year-olds can't have wine after.
Man.
No. But we're looking at complementary businesses.
Okay.
To a grocery store that makes sense being in that same.
Okay.
In the same commercial space, but
okay.
two separate businesses, separate entrances, separate everything.
Okay.
So the business is located in the former Salvation Army building?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the store is. Yeah.
I mean the store. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the store will be located in the former Salvation Army building, and right now we're using that building for pop-ups. We have the property. Why not? And with Save-A-Lot closed, there's a need.
There's a gap.
There's a gap in the market, so why not fill it? And that's another reason why I decided it shouldn't just be 40 acres. It's like, because we only do produce, so let's try to get some of those other products that people need to fill their.
That's an excellent thing, because we've had at least 3 vegetable produce stores closed within the last 7 years. The one that was in Oak Park on Ridgeland and Madison.
Ridgeland and North.
Ridgeland and North.
Yeah, the one on North Avenue originally. Yeah.
That opened and closed within.
It was. It's an exercise spot now, right?
One. Yep.
Yeah.
Right. And there was one on Ridgeland and Madison.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah,
that.
right behind the Jewels, where the Jewel is.
Oh yeah, no.
And then of course the original Pete's or Save-A-Lot.
They closed, and actually even in Oak Park there was a store. Was it called Fair Play or something over on Roosevelt? I forgot what the cross street it was.
Yeah.
Like either Roosevelt and Oak Park Ave or something. They closed, and they've been in business for years. And I think what happened is that they just got business siphoned off of them, and at a certain point, their store was like too big. They had more store than volume, and so that's part of the reason why I didn't want to take up the entire building.
Makes sense.
I wanted as tight and small a store as possible because I didn't want a store that I had to grow into. I want a store that we would easily grow out of, and keeping it tight keeps the construction costs lower, even though they're still ridiculously high. This $2.5 million isn't even
with the COVID thing, man. COVID really drove
construction costs.
Oh my God, man.
I can't imagine projects that started in 2019 then continued with COVID, and now like a lot of them probably are just stuck because they're like, we can't
20-30% markup.
It's 20. Yeah, I can't make up the difference. Like I don't know what's going on with the battering barriers. I know that they need a roof, but I think that part of that is that issue is like they've been planning this for so long. You have a budget.
You already had, you had
a budget. You have the funding
out the
for
window,
it, and then it goes out the window.
Yeah.
And I think part of what I try to do, because you'll see me a lot on social media, you'll see any of my aliases talking about this stuff. You'll see a lot of people complaining about like what's going, the pace of development and how slow it is.
Right.
And I understand people's skepticism and distrust that something nefarious isn't afoot. But honestly, I think that you have developers and business owners just trying to make it work, and this process is slow. Listen, when we acquired the Salvation Army property, me and my general manager, who's also my cousin, went out there and we shot this elaborate video of me opening the gate to the driveway and saying, opening the building, like, come on, follow me. This is going to be our new store. In less than a year, this is going to be a grocery store. That was October of 2020. We are now in February of 2022 and we have not broken ground on anything. I had no clue what I was talking about. I didn't know everything that goes into developing commercial real estate. Like, if you think it's going to take a year, double that time. In fact, just triple it. And if you think it's going to cost you $3 million, you might as well triple that too.
Yeah.
And I think that people, if you haven't seen development in your community,
Right.
you don't know that it's not a linear process.
Right.
And that it
Right.
goes like, like overall, it eventually gets there, but like there's like all this stuff. And honestly, a developer isn't going to keep you abreast of every little thing that's happening. So it looks like stuff's being hidden, but it's not. It's just, this is.
I think it's so difficult to stomach for West Siders in general, considering, the state of the community has been the same way since riots, right? 50 years, 60 years.
Yeah.
And then you look at other communities, say a Pilsen, say a Logan Square, Wicker Park, Bucktown, you name it.
Look at how that development happened. Do you want the development to happen the way it happened there? Because the people who used to live in Logan Square don't live in Logan Square no more. Actually, they're in Austin.
Yeah, they're in Austin now.
They're in Austin.
Everybody,
and
Pilsen, all of them.
Pilsen, they're moving. They keep getting pushed further west. Do you want Logan Square here? I would rather slow development without displacement than fast development that skyrockets property values. You can't afford the property taxes anymore. Now, listen. I'm also of the mindset that in order to get progress, you have to realize that things will rise. Like if you have grocery stores and businesses in your community, that'll help make your community safer. Your property values will rise. As a homeowner, that's your investment. You should want your property values to rise.
Right.
But what you don't want is for them to rise at such a rapid pace.
That it outpaces what you're making.
It's outpacing what you. So you kind of want it's really hard to get the two to step up together.
Right.
But like I said, I'd rather it be slow and controlled than just rampant out of control. And Austin has all these amenities now, but you don't live here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we don't want the gentrification. We always say we want re-gentrification.
Re-gentrification for sure.
Where we bring the people that's already been here back to this location to build.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say, could you read some of those comments of the individuals who were delighted that Austin is finally getting the grocery store?
So let me just give a little bit of background. On Friday, Block Club Chicago published an article. Shout out to Pascal Sabino, my favorite reporter in the city. Sorry to other reporters that I'm cool with, but he's my favorite. And he basically reported on the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund grant that was given to Soul City Chicago for the purpose of building out the grocery stores. We explained like the naming and everything like that, how the money flowed. And so obviously our general manager posted the story on our Instagram. It's been like our biggest post like ever. Lots of congratulations. Chicago Media Takeout Instagram page picked up the story as well.
Cool. And
so they have like almost 200,000 followers. And so people are commenting on the story. They're saying after decades of disinvestment, 2 new grocery stores are being built on Chicago's west side. It will be funded under the Chicago Recovery Plan. It is set to be at the location building at 5713 West Chicago Ave, blah, blah, blah. And basically the story of how it came to be. And so you have some people, nice comments like, nice, thank you, Lord. Good luck. I love it.
Dope.
And then you have these people. Kenny Got Bands says, I pray our people don't steal out of this store. To which Easy Jeezy replies, I'ma stay stealing from that bitch. To which I said, security?
No.
It's really hard for me not to clap
Come
back at people.
on, man.
Then you Polo, I'm Gucci 986 says, then the people will just steal or loot from the store. And then what else is there? Somebody said, this is so dope. I really hope our own people don't destroy it or go in there stealing and say they got insurance and force them to close.
They gonna be able to hear you.
Let's see. All we gotta do is not rob it, and it can prosper for years. I think they meant prosper. Somebody else said the same thing that caused Aldi and them other stores to close shop will happen here. No for-profit business wants to deal with base heads crawling, constant theft, and shoplifting, and shootouts near their parking lot. They need to get rid of all that. I hope I'm wrong, though.
Listen, that was a very negative comment, but that person kind of.
This is my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, until there's another protest and everything gets looted, dope fiends lock themselves in the bathroom and nod off, and people start shoplifting. There's a reason other grocery stores left. Hope it works out, though. Don't want to be too negative.
Damn. So I want to hype. I just want to put a little negativity onto it.
Just
wow.
Like, there was one comment that I actually respected, and this person actually understood, and this is the real big Suge SSR. I don't know who you are. He said it's a lot more to this story other than the problems with addicts loitering and stealing from these stores. African Americans with cars do not support their own communities. They drive to Jewels and Mariano's because they think those stores are so much better. We cannot keep or our money in our own community. That's why these stores are going out of business. He hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, absolutely.
So far more than looting. Because listen, I've been operating in Austin for 4 years. There's never been a shootout at the Austin Town Hall.
True.
Farmers Market.
True.
Nobody's come up in any of our pop-ups trying to like rob us.
True.
The amount of theft I've experienced in 4 years of doing business is negligible. It amounts to less than 1% of our revenue. I lose far more product to spoilage or careless handling or somebody delivered a bag to the wrong house and now we have to replace it free of charge than I ever, to our own mistakes, than I ever lose to somebody stealing from me. And so it really frustrates me that this is the narrative about our community. It frustrates me, doesn't even frustrate me, pisses me the fuck off because the same people are like, fix your own neighborhoods. Like, stop blaming racism for everything. The second we do something to fix our own neighborhoods, you're just gonna fail. They're just gonna loot and steal from you. You're gonna get shot up. This, that, and the third. I'm like, why would you wish that on me? So it makes me think that you don't want us to fix shit. You just like seeing. You like being on top. No, it's not even that. You want to see Black misery. Right. Yeah. You get off on seeing Black misery and then blaming Black people for their misery.
Because you could charge $1 amount for Black pain, though.
Yes, you can.
That's what it is.
And they love it. They revel in it. They relish in it. And it's disgusting. I feel sorry for those people because they have nothing going for them. And fuck it, they can't even hold my bra strap, okay? Who are you? Who are you? You can't do what I do.
Let me guess.
Like, and the thing is, it's not just Black people. It's Latino people saying this. It's not white. Sometimes it's white people. It's Latino people. It's Asian people. And sometimes it's even other Black people. Because honestly, sometimes we have a very poor opinion of ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so, it's frustrating because it's like, you work so hard for this thing, and I would not have even gotten to this point without the support of this community.
Facts.
And so to see people denigrate Austin, I may not be from here, but I will throw hands over Austin. Don't say shit about the West Side to me.
There you go.
Like, you'll see me go ham on people. I've been in Facebook jail way too many times. I stay in Facebook jail because I stay cussing somebody out because they have said something about the West Side. I'm like, you don't know, like, just keep your mouth shut. You don't know shit. You don't know nothing.
Years ago, Madison Street was like the Mecca for business on the West Side. Madison, and I have to say probably Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Before the riots,
Yeah.
And
North Lawndale's really trying. In North Lawndale, they're trying to revive. What's that?
Roosevelt.
Yeah, they're trying to do a lot on Roosevelt.
Yeah, but they have the Ogden Garden. You know about them?
The Farm on Ogden?
Farm on Ogden, right.
I love them. They're my friends. I'm always there. I love Windy City Harvest. We actually...
What is it?
I think they have some aquaponic stuff, but like, I just love them. We get our greens from them in the summer when they're in growing season. So at the farmers market, we'll sell Windy City Harvest greens from Farm on Ogden. Their incubator program, one of our favorite farms, Peace and Justice Farm, founded by Austin resident Artima Plunkett. May he rest in peace. He passed away last year. We used to buy greens from him and his farm. I love Windy City Harvest. I love the farm on Ogden. I love how they've built it out. They really are trying to be a food resource in that neighborhood. They have grocery staples, they have pantry staples, they have fruits and vegetables, they have, drinks and spices, and they really try to I think the only thing they really don't have is a lot of meat, but they're a great fresh food resource in the North Lawndale community. And I wish they just got swamped with business every single day so that they would expand their hours, and they're incredible. I love them.
That makes me think of two things. When a store is open, is there any chance that you all will be working with Black farmers, right? That would be super dope. And then the second thing is, I know with some of the pop-ups, you guys have done cooking presentations and even you have a smoothie here, right? Even in other cooking styles, right? Will there be any space to do those type of things too? Because I know one of the things that really attract me to certain stores, like let's say a Mariano's, is the fact that you could go, you got tasting samples, you got it's really well lit, it looks super clean, and then there's those presentations and things like that where you can go and watch and stuff. So those are my two questions as it relates to the store being open. Working with Black farmers, and what are going to be the amenities, what's going to get people to come in there, you know what I'm saying, and stay in there when they're in there.
We are I got you asked all the right questions. So we already work with Black farmers, as I mentioned. We were buying supply from Peace and Justice, I think that's what it's called, Garden, for a while. We now buy from Urban Produce. As much as we can, we buy from Black farmers when things are in season. One issue is that a lot of Black farmers are still very small farmers, so they can't produce in enough volume to get us to a price point that we need.
Okay.
So,
I hear that.
For example, there was a farm out south that I was talking to about buying peppers. Just didn't have the harvest.
Okay.
And so she's like, I got maybe a pound of peppers for you. I'd have to buy
Can't do a whole lot with the pound.
Yeah, I'd have to buy them at such a high price, then I have to retail them on top of them. And I think that's the understanding that a lot of small farmers, if you're looking to supply a retailer, you can't sell to us at what you want your retail price to be. And so then for them, if they can only lower their price if they can sell in larger volume.
Yeah.
And if they can't get the yield to sell in larger volume, then it doesn't.
Yeah.
Listen,
whenever I talk business transactions and things with youth, I always talk about how it's relatable to drugs. You gotta buy it at a certain price. You gotta sell it at a certain price. Everybody gotta make money in between. You feel
exactly? Because I've had growers make value added products, and they'll be like, "Oh, I sell the 10-ounce jar for $8," and I'm like, if you sell it for $8, that means I have to sell it for 12 or 13.
Facts.
So you can't sell it to me for $8. You have to sell it to me for $5.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll sell it at $8.50.
Right.
You can't.
Yep.
You have to understand that I'm now the middleman, but it's not direct to consumer. I'm not the consumer. I still have to sell it.
Right.
And people aren't going to pay that price for this.
Yeah, for 10 ounces.
Yeah, so
and they probably can't supply the volume,
and they also can't supply the
which
volume.
goes back to the economy of scale.
And so that's the difficulty, because people ask all the time, are you working with Black farmers? And I'm like, whenever possible, but it's is it possible? And so my hope is that programs like Windy City Harvest are there to help Black farmers scale so they can be a source of supply.
Yeah.
And then the second question is, and I love that you asked this question about the amenities, right? I always say this idea that there's no grocery stores in Austin is not true. I'm not going to shout them out or name them, but there are groceries. There's 3. But none of them are a good shopping experience.
Facts.
Whether it's because the store smells, it's dirty.
The lighting. Listen, I'm a stickler for ambiance. Straight
it
up.
could just be like, it's okay, like it has food, it's clean, but like there's nothing drawing me in.
Facts.
Right? It's
Facts.
transactional. It's just like, we have food,
Yep.
you give us money, you buy food.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
think that many Austin residents
Yep.
bypass the stores in Austin and think that there are no stores in Austin when what they're looking for is not simply fresh produce or canned goods. They're looking for an experience.
Absolutely.
They like the in-store radio. Like, I don't know why
I was
everybody.
gonna say music.
I love a good in-store radio. Like, you'll see me dancing in aisles in grocery stores. And
Facts.
I'm like,
Facts.
why does nobody hear that the jam is on
Facts.
right now?
Facts.
Like, I'm the only one going.
Right.
And yeah, it's like a whole environment. So for me, I simply want to create a store that I want to shop at.
Okay,
So,
good.
40 Acres Fresh Market, the way I envision it and the way we're planning it, is the word is in the fresh market. It's not a Pete's, it's not a Jewel. It's not an everyday grocery store. It's a specialty grocery store. We're focused on the fresh departments. We're focused on produce.
Okay.
We're focused on meat, and we're focused on prepared food.
Okay.
So we'll have prepared food there.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be, now obviously there will be a full selection of we'll still have grocery, we'll still have dry, refrigerated, frozen, household goods, but it's going to be like a limited assortment of those things. So you're not going to have 20 options for toilet paper. You might have 2 or 3 options for toilet paper, but you can still buy toilet paper there. You can still buy your canned goods there. I don't need to have 50 feet of cereal. Like, I can limit it to like the top 50 sellers. Yeah. And you can buy cereal there.
I hear a lifestyle store. That's what I'm feeling.
It's more, it's what I like to call it is it's a store for your fill-in trip. Listen, go to Costco and stock up. Go to Pete's and stock up. But if you're anything like me, it always happens. You just spend like $200 on groceries.
Yeah, you still forget something.
And you forget something, or something else runs out that wasn't on the list.
Yeah, that's a fact.
And then you're like, I gotta
So
go
it's
all
back
the
to your old-fashioned mom and pop corner store.
It's not. It's bigger than a corner
But it's gonna
store.
be definitely.
It's bigger than a corner store, but it's not as big as the big supermarket. So it's kind of like that nice, like it's fun size.
Yeah.
Like you can get what you need, you can get in, you can get out. It'll have like we'll have like I think we're gonna do like a mobile sampling cart, so local vendors can sample. We can do sampling. You'll have hot food to choose from, grab and go salads, heat and eat meals. Great produce like we're already known for, great cuts of meat. And you can pick up your odds and ends. You can pick up a bottle of wine or,
Okay, you got wine?
Listen,
okay.
Shout him out right now. I almost passed on the location. Because I know to run a grocery store in this city, you need to be able to sell alcohol. And technically, you're not supposed to be able to sell alcohol if you're within 100 feet of the school. We're right next to Betty's daycare. So I was like, can't do that because I can't sell alcohol, and I can't have a business if I can't sell alcohol. Our broker, shout out to you, LaShawn Capeward, said, don't worry about that. We will get you your waiver. We're not going to let that stop you from coming into this community.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm gonna hold you to this. I'm gonna hold you to this. We got to get that waiver, but you want to sell because I mean it's a part of grocery. Like it's not even like this is not a liquor store; it's a grocery store. But you go to Pete's and you can buy alcohol. Why shouldn't you come to 40 Acres Fresh Market and have that option?
Many of your recipes take alcohol.
Thank you. Like if you
make a little piano alla vodka,
You know what I'm saying? Or like you need what's it called? What's that stuff called? Like white wine.
White wine.
Make your
yes.
Your mushroom risotto.
Yep.
Or red wine for your bolognese. Like all of that stuff. So we should be. I want to be able to sell alcohol. We will be able to sell alcohol, and so.
So let me ask you this: so, who's your target market? That you're trying to really get.
You ask a very loaded question, and I don't know how honestly I want to answer this.
I know you like everybody, but it ain't everybody.
No. Okay.
Right.
So here's what I will tell you: Austin is a mixed income community. Everybody always talks about poverty in Austin. There's
a lot of money here, yeah. In pockets, though. In pockets. It's money in pockets. Yep.
When I planned for this store, I planned a store that would attract Austin's middle class. Because I think Austin's middle class will sustain the store so that it is open and accessible and available to everybody to shop. I understand that I'm in a store, like we sit at Chicago and Waller. If you understand anything about grocery, there's 3 radiuses that matter: the half mile, the 1 mile, and the mile and a half. 95% of your customers come from that mile and a half radius.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you go a mile and a half in any direction from 5713 West Chicago Avenue, within less than a half mile, you hit Oak Park.
Right.
Oak Park is in our catchment area. So I'm really servicing 2 neighborhoods
Mm-hmm.
at the same time. So what I'm thinking of is high, middle, low.
Mm-hmm.
So have options that service. So we have, like, you have your low cost option, you have your middle option, and then you might have a premium option. And people will fall where they want. And some people, if you're like me, you'll take premium on this and you'll take low on something else, and you'll kind of mix it together. But I understand that if I want people shopping throughout the month, that I need to attract those people that guy in the comment was talking about. If you have, like you said, if you're an African American with a car, you leave your neighborhood to go shopping. I want people to come back to Austin. That's the whole reason for Soul City Community Market, is to give a runway for the store, so it gives people time to put the head and the action together. Like, oh, I can go here and get fresh food in Austin and have a good experience. There's music playing, the people are so friendly, and like, this is in Austin. Like, there's not a ton of indoor markets in the winter in Chicago. The fact that Austin has one of them, and it's a pretty dope one at that, like, you should be excited about that.
Yeah.
Like, it makes Austin a destination. Like, people will come from other places. I know that, like, I love a good indoor market, and before this one, I would go to Logan Square.
Mm-hmm.
And
you have parking, right?
And there's parking.
There's parking.
Plenty.
Yeah.
There's plenty of parking.
Yeah.
There's plenty of parking. And you get in, you get out. And what I noticed, particularly last week, like in the last 2 weeks, is that people linger at the market. They talk to the vendors.
Yeah.
They
a little chilly enough. A little chilly enough when I was in there.
We're working on that. We're working on the
Say shit, I wasn't trying to stay and talk to nobody on shit.
Bundle up. We're working on the climate control. It's an old building. Now
it is.
Now I know why the Salvation Army left, because they have like the construction costs on this product. Like, the HVAC needs to be upgraded, the electrical, the plumbing. Like, it works. It's operational kind of, but like, there's also that balance between, okay, we kind of want to use the building, but we don't want to put too much into it, because we're going to rip everything out anyway to put new stuff in. So, like, how can we get it just operational enough?
Right.
So that we can do these markets.
Right.
It's an in-between point.
It's an in-between. It's a very difficult in-between point.
So
it's difficult
let me bring this up. So it's 40 acres fresh market. And DeAndre told you about our project, which is not a project. We call it a movement.
Okay.
And our project, which we started 2 years ago, is called 40 Blocks in the Movement.
Okay.
And what it encompasses is that we really walked these 40 blocks in what we call the canned area. And the canned area was coined by one of the Block Club leaders that we developed. Well, that's been around, that's part of our network. And as CAN stands for Central to Austin, North Avenue to Division. And there are approximately 40 blocks.
Okay, got it.
Within that area. And the idea was to develop a sustainable neighborhood?
Well,
Community?
I think part of it was about this idea of creating what we consider the network of neighbors, where we could find leadership on each block, cultivate them so they become the point person. Therefore, we can start to create, like I said, these social networks that we need to pass information, resources, XYZ throughout the community, which we lack. One of the things that you mentioned earlier was the social cohesion. We actually, that was part of some of the research that we found. So we looked at things like informal social control, which is people getting on other people for doing things they shouldn't be doing. Social cohesion is obviously collective efficacy, working together, people, the belief that they can create things together. And then the third one was, I can't get the third one. But
the third one is when you see something that looks good, you want to emulate it.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of which construct we use. Yeah, the construct. But I just was reviewing it the other day, actually, and I forgot it. But but the idea was that we went out to each of these blocks and was going up and down them and surveyed everybody with whoever we could reach. We ended up reaching 228 people and found 24 people willing to be leaderships that wanted to be in some type of leadership role that we could develop further. Funny thing, we talking about this because I'm right now, the classes that I'm working on is change management. So I'm actually working on enhancing, because I created leadership development training for community members, actually enhancing that training that incorporates some other parts of like persuasion message that can really get people to understanding why something like that, this developmental leadership piece, is needed for our community.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think that 40, however you want to term it, 40 and acres, mules, however movements,
Like, number 40,
it's all for
number
us.
40,
It's a big it means something. Facts.
To our community.
Facts.
And I am not an expert in this, you know.
Mhm.
I think that Austin doesn't move because of historical trauma, because of divestment. Austin doesn't move the way I think your traditional marketer would expect. Like if I put out 1,000 flyers, then I should be able to expect 150 people to show up. There should be some yield from that.
Mhm.
Like if I do these things, like you really kind of have to be boots on the ground and talk to
Facts.
people and almost like drag them, like
Facts.
come on,
Yeah.
That's so true.
But like it's necessary because of what this community has been through, because there have been promises that have not been fulfilled, because there's just,
it's about relationships.
It's about relationships. You have to build those relationships. And so another reason why I think some other grocers may have failed is, did they take the time to build that relationship with the
Absolutely
community?
not.
And so
Absolutely
I
not.
think that 40 acres is different in that way, is that like I didn't just push through with like, let me go open this door and then like open my doors and like, y'all coming?
Right.
Like I'm not from here, but like I hope that I've done enough to like at least have Austin like call me their foster child or something. Redheaded stepkid, whatever it is.
Well,
like,
look, I'll say this. For anybody that comes into the community that sees an issue area and then goes out and does the work to actually provide a solution, that's saluted. It has to be saluted, regardless of how people actually feel about it. Because my thing is this: there's a lot of people that came before you that saw these same issues that ain't step a foot. You came there stepping.
Okay, I want to say this. I got to shout out the Austin Community Food Co-op,
Mm-hmm.
because they have been working this since before I ever came along.
Okay, I never heard of them.
And see, that's the whole thing. Is like every time I mention something that's happening in Austin around food, there's always something people like, I never heard of this, and I'm like, man, they've been at it.
How? What have they been doing though?
So shout out to Brianna Shields. They've had different committee members come and go. So oftentimes, like it's like if I left 40 acres, then what is there? Mm-hmm. Right? So if people are working together on a concept and then one or two of those people leave, you're almost starting over from scratch, because a lot of these ideas start and they're held with the people, right? Mm-hmm. So they've had some turnover, but they finally got, I think, their planning committee in place. If you want to follow them on Instagram, Austin Community Food Co-op, they have a newsletter that goes out at least once a month. They are trying, and now building a co-op is an undertaking. It can take years, but they want a community-owned grocery store, and I applaud them for it, and I applaud them for doing this work. I guess that's another thing. It's hard to let everybody know what you're doing.
That's a fact.
I wasn't the first. I think the difference is that as a co-op, they're trying, like, the whole point is to do it together as a community. So they have to like wait for people and get committees and.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Solo entrepreneur.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
I was just like, I'm gonna do what I want to do.
Yeah, I get that, because co-ops involve obviously a number of people.
Exactly.
And it's very hard to get people on the same page. Like you said, as a solopreneur, this is what I want to do. I'm gonna go out and do it. So yeah.
Do I have the funding? Do I have the money to do it?
I will say this too, though. I also wonder, based off our research that we were doing in that canned area, food itself, that was actually, we put about 6 items on as a ranking items, right? So we had safety, education, jobs, health, or food, and housing. Food generally fell in that area, just that area though, about 5. So people weren't as concerned about their food. And again, up in that area, North Avenue to Division, Central to Austin, you got right, you got to Save a Lot, you got right.
So Walgreens kind of fills some of that gap.
Right. So there's a couple things there. And so our community isn't as concerned with food like that.
Well, once the Save a Lot closed,
then it became more of an outrage. Yeah,
well, so
absolutely.
Here's what I would say though. Food ties into so much more than just the access to food.
Absolutely.
Right? So you talk about food, you're talking about health.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need that high blood pressure medication.
Facts. Oh my God.
If your diet is healing you.
I'm trying to get my mama tomato soup. She telling me I gotta take my pills, man. Eat the damn tomato soup, mama.
And
yeah.
I'm gonna say something here. Our food impacts our mental health.
Absolutely.
It impacts
physical health,
mental health, our ability to concentrate, our ability to
absolutely
focus, how well our kids do in school.
Absolutely.
Diet informs so much.
Yeah.
So I think a lot if this community was healthier, I think you would see the impacts of it far beyond, oh, there's just healthy food. You'd see it in healthcare, you'd see it in mental health, you'd see it in better educational attainment. On top of that,
absolutely,
food businesses are not simply in the business of selling food. A grocery store is an anchor. A grocery store brings other businesses nearby. A grocery store is jobs. A grocery store is that social infrastructure I talk about. You don't know how many times I've been in West Town, gone to the Whole Foods in West Loop, gone to the Jewel in Wicker Park, or the Mariano's in the Ukrainian village, and ran into like one of my classmates from business school. You run into people, you see people. I remember I was 17 working the front end of the local grocery store in Latham, New York, where I grew up. I was hungover because it was the whole entire front end. It was a bunch of high school kids and a couple college kids. We all partied together. Not to say that I was definitely underage drinking. Fuck it, I'm old enough. There was definitely underage drinking.
Oh man, I used to leave high school and drink Sky Blue with girls, man.
I remember running into my AP US history teacher in one of the aisles at the grocery store, trying that I was working at, trying not to puke on her shoes. But you see your teachers, you see your pastor, you see, and those are like the time. That's what I'm talking about, like community cohesion and like these places where you just see each other and you have those points, those little points of connection.
It's a good point to make,
that seem meaningless.
Good point,
market.
It's a good point.
Yeah, grocery stores. It's an act. It's not a vacant property. There's people coming in and out. When properties are actually occupied, that improves public safety. So you have all of these tertiary.
And that's what I was going to bring up. People, and I know Black people, would go anywhere if the food quality and the whole ambiance and everything is there. They don't care. We had Moo and Orange, which was on Madison and Cicero.
Cold.
That place was rowdy.
Oh, Moo and Orange was dope though.
I mean, I get it, but it wasn't in the best neighborhood. It wasn't in the best area. They didn't care. If
you have good prices, good food, and a good service and good ambiance, people will be there.
And time and time again, the statistics show that we spend money. We spend a hell of a lot of money. 170 million, right? Over in Oak Park.
90 million of that, almost $90 million in grocery demand at 60444 feeds the community.
Crazy.
Let me tell you something.
It's crazy.
You go into that Pete's, you see all them Black people in Pete's.
You're like, you're gonna see me in Pete's.
I'm like, y'all all don't live in Oak Park. I know y'all don't live in Oak Park.
But I'm gonna tell you.
I know you don't. But because Oak Park siphons money off of Austin.
Absolutely.
Left and right.
Absolutely.
And all I want to do
is ain't giving us nothing back.
All I'm trying to do is bring a little bit of that back into Austin.
We used to have stores called Black Giants, grocery stores. Well, you wouldn't know those. But they were in the community. People would come from everywhere to go to the Black Giants. There were 3. There were, I think, it was one on by the Expressway in Pulaski.
Okay.
There was one on Central Park in Roosevelt, and there was one on Kedzie and Eisenhower also. But black people wanted to patronize those stores, and they would come from every direction to go to Black Giant because they had the produce, the meats, and the foods that we eat.
Yeah.
So the neighborhoods weren't the best, but people went there.
You know, one of the things that really caught my attention about what you said, and I think it's very important to acknowledge, is that a grocery store is an anchor of a community. I personally believe we live in neighborhoods because we're not communal yet. And part of the reason we're not communal is the relationships that we lack with one another, but also the fact we don't have the requisite amenities of a community. That being a grocery store, a hospital, a bank, and a school system that actually works. So for you to be a person that's going to start this anchor, this black business, right? Like that's why you've been celebrating Black History Month. You know what I mean? Because that in itself is going to draw that bank that we need. Hopefully, the fact that we got fresh produce means less trips to the hospital, and maybe they can get their things together because Loretta is struggling.
I respect the staff there. I'm trying to.
I know, but hey, man, they struggling, and they need to get it together too. Yeah. But I'm just saying that in our school system is terrible. So the hope is, like you said, people don't realize how important food actually is to their survival, however that is. So then when we really they become more informed and we can start to change the narrative there, I do think that'll open up other avenues for us to really become as communal as we need to be. Because and we can move from where we at currently, which is surviving, to thriving. So
and I think you see.
No, they got.
Oh no. Go ahead, continue.
I think you see what infrastructure does for a community, how it brings cohesion, and I mean it's right across the border in Oak Park. Mm-hmm. At the start of the pandemic, all of our pop-up markets got shut down because they were indoors and nobody could be indoors. So we shifted to our really small delivery service, which blew up. And the two areas that blew up in were Beverly and Oak Park. Like we do have a good number of Austin customers, but Oak Park was all over it. And when we asked people, how did you hear about us? They're like, oh, Oak Park moms on Facebook.
Wow.
Like mom groups in Beverly and Facebook.
Yeah.
They were like, because they would go to this group and be super active. And they'd be like, I have an immunocompromised child. I don't want to go to the store. Instacart's taking too long. How do I get some fresh produce? And people would be like, I just ordered from 40 Acres Fresh Market. Take a look at my haul. Here's the link. Go order from them.
Dope.
Like it spread like wildfire. Oak Park is still like one of our best delivery. It's really an anchor community for our delivery business. We're there every single day.
Wow.
Love those customers. So you see what happens when everybody knows each other from the schools and the grocery store and this club and that, and it encapsulates the entire town.
Yeah. Social networks.
That social network, and that it makes something like Facebook that much more powerful.
Right.
Because they're all on it. They're all on it, and they're listening to each other, and they're taking advice from each other. They believe each other's recommendations. A lot of marketers, especially that do social media marketing, all they want is to find a mom group to be part of, so that they can advertise their product. Because once one mom loves it, all the other moms love it. That's
a fact. I got a friend that's a nanny, and obviously a lot of her business comes out the fact that she does good work, and then the other moms are,
they all talk.
Absolutely.
And so, and you look at Austin's Facebook groups, and people are posting, people will post, flyers for events, but there's no interaction. The only thing I really see that there's a lot of consistent interaction is the Activate Austin group. Shout out to Crystal Gardner,
right,
for creating that group. And yes,
the unfortunate is most of it is it starts with a negative connotation on the post.
It does. There's a lot of challenging conversations.
Yeah.
Good
way to put it.
But people are still talking. People are still at least talking. It's not like you're projecting to an audience of no one. People just join the group and then don't say anything. Right. I get what you're saying. It's okay for us to disagree. Yeah. It's okay for us to challenge our elected officials. It's okay for us to challenge one another. I mean, I got challenged you should be asking what 40 Acres can be doing to step into this gap. And I'm like, I ask this question every day, but here's what I have been doing.
Right.
And if you think I'm missing the boat on something, please do let me know.
Right.
And I've said a million times, like, look, I want to get the word out about it. They're like, why aren't people informed? I'm like, look, I do my best to make sure people are informed of everything
Man, that's so crazy.
that we're doing. I'm only one person. I have payroll to make. I can't spend it all on making sure that you guys, everybody in Austin knows exactly what we're doing at every moment.
Right.
But like, if you can help, tell me where I can go, where I can reach more people.
Yeah.
And that's the difficult thing with Austin. It's a huge neighborhood. It's very disjointed. And so I'm hoping that 40 Acres can help bring that cohesion.
Yeah.
I think it will. I think it will. I'm just going by the history. I've been in Austin almost 50 years.
You don't look old enough for that.
Oh yeah, it's the best.
Hell, me.
Keeps you young.
Steve, give me a bunch of vegetables.
I like to call it
Cooking those shit up.
drinking water and minding my business
For
keeps me looking
There you
young.
go.
Get money, drink
No, I mean,
water.
I can see it. I can really see it because there's a deficiency. I mean, you're in a good location.
I think the location is perfect. Besides,
Yeah, it's a really good location.
besides the daycare next door,
It really
I can't
is.
for this liquor license thing. But,
Yeah.
and the building is,
Then you got
Yeah.
there's a lot across the street also, right?
yeah.
There is a lot across the street. Yep.
We know.
The joint need.
No comment.
Yeah.
Right. But excellent location. I think it gives everybody an opportunity to get there and park.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have some good music playing. We already know that.
We always do.
It'd be nice to have some
That would be a good-
some live something here and there.
We're trying to actually bring in live music to the pop-up market on the weekend. So if you're a musician or you know a musician, please get in touch.
You gotta get with Westside Bill. He's a promoter. He gets some
Yeah, that's a fact.
So what I like to say is we don't have a huge budget, so I like mediocre musicians on the guitar. Like, if you could just carry a tune, some notes can even be a little bit off. We just want some, because listen, there's nothing I love better than some mediocre singing at a farmer's market. I love going to a farmer's market and there's some like husband and wife couple with a guitar singing old 90s covers. And I'm like, that was a little off, but I love this song and I love you for trying.
Funny.
Love it.
There you go.
All right, y'all. So we at that hour. Definitely apologize for the late start again. A little technological issues. Also, we up against the bowl. You know what I mean? So for y'all that was tuning in, we appreciate that. Again, we do this every Sunday from 6 to 8. We really saluting Black History this month. You know what I mean? And we're going to continue to roll out a nice little format where we bring some people that's instrumental in making Black history like Liz is. As we wrap up, you know, we like to make sure we go around the room and get some final thoughts. So I'm going to shift over to my Zoom.
Or questions.
Yeah, thoughts, questions, whatever y'all want to do.
Give
What's
you guys
up?
a lot of time to ask questions today. Go for it. Tamika. You there?
Yeah. How y'all doing?
What's up,
Hey.
Tamika?
You got any comments, questions?
Nice to see you today. Yeah, so I was wondering, I didn't get to hear about how your blog is going. That was one of my favorite parts of our interview, is how on your website you have the blogs which have healthy recipes and healthy ways to make food.
Yes.
Ding, ding.
True enough.
Yeah, gosh, we kind of let that blog, we've kind of ignored that blog a little bit. You're the first person to ever ask about it. So we have a newsletter now. So we send out, we probably could update the blog with what's in the newsletter. That's probably pretty smart. But if you go to our website, 40acresfreshmarket.com, that's the word 40, not the number, FORTY, acresfreshmarket.com.
40.
You can just go to contact us and sign up for our email list. And so you'll start getting our weekly emails. And every week we give a new recipe, a produce of the week, why it's healthy for you, and then a good way to make it.
Nice.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Rev, what you got to say? You out there? Reverend William? Miss Reverend Williams, do you have any comments or concerns or questions? How about Miss Jaden? You out there, Miss Jacobs? All right. How about Barry? I know Barry's there. Barry Corn.
Burry.
Hey guys, how you doing?
What's up,
Hey.
Burry?
Hi Liz, I haven't seen you in a while.
I know. It's been a month of Sundays.
Mhm.
And Liz, one thing I'm just curious about, you said you're not from the West Side. Where are you from?
I am from upstate New York, right outside of Albany in a suburb called Latham.
Oh, okay. And I'm wondering what, it seems to me what you're doing is fantastic. I think Lanny said something about, we're speaking to that too. Just as you said early on, we really need fresh food on the West Side, and this has such a tremendous impact on well-being and so on. And I'm wondering, I gather, I understand that you're an entrepreneur, but are you on your own? It seems to me that, so many of us have a stake in strengthening the West Side, and what you're doing is a very important part. And I'm wondering to what extent, besides getting the word out, are you coordinating with with other organizations?
Yeah, so I am the sole owner of 40 Acres Fresh Market, but I'm not doing this alone. I have never done this alone. From my friends from business school who pitched in that first day to help me pull off my first market. I think I worked them like an 18-hour day. I'm surprised they're still my friend. To, like I said, Malcolm Crawford gave us our first space, and he's always been like just such a great encourager. AAA-BNA has written letters of support for us when we've been going after funding, and we've gotten it because of that support from AAA-BNA. So I'm a proud member of that. I'm a proud member of the Leaders Network. I gotta shout out WHA, Westside Health Authority. We came up with this thing called the Austin Grocery Initiative together. They had a vision of economic development along the Chicago Avenue corridor, and it came in the form of Ave 72, the SSA. And I wanted a grocery store on Chicago Avenue, and they were some of the first people in organizations in this community to really be like, yo, this is like a perfect marriage. So I've been working with them to bring all of this to fruition through, initially pop-up markets. I was, at Good Neighbor meetings all the time, and now they're the co-developer of this real estate project with me. So it's they've been instrumental. And then shout out Morris, Kawana, and everybody at WHA. Rosie's my dog. Love me some Rosie Dawson. And then ACT, Austin Coming Together. Love the team at ACT. They have been incredible partners. They have partnered with us on the Austin Town Hall Farmers Market. We are also, 40 Acres is also a member of the Austin Eats Collective that Austin Coming Together put together all different like food related people. Like if you have a grocery business, if you have a pantry, if you have gardens, they put us all together so we can kind of get some cohesion in the food ecosystem of Austin. So it's not just one thing. It's not just more pantries or more grocery stores. It's all of it to create this healthy food ecosystem. And I love, how they're trying to empower all of us and getting all of us together at the same table. SANA, South Austin Neighborhood Association. Terry Redmond and Cassandra.
Arnold Bearden.
I cannot say enough. We did a market at the Veterans Peace Garden, and for what it's worth, like I'm gonna shout out Emma Mitz and Alderman Talifero too, because listen, anytime Alderman Mitz had a community meeting, she let me stand up in front of everybody and announce, like, I have a pop-up market going this weekend. Everybody come. I forgot her name, but there was a woman and her sister in the office that used to come to every single pop-up market, no matter what.
Nice.
Alderman Talaferro has been like a huge support. Like I said, LaShawn K. Ford, Camille Lilly, Don Harmon. Like this is not just me. There's been huge community efforts to get this,
That's great.
to get us to move from pop-ups and being a mobile produce vendor to get us to a brick and mortar store.
Nice.
So I can't say that I've done this alone. Like
You gotta get the congressman involved.
I love Congressman Danny Davis. Like I love him. I don't know if I'm allowed. I don't want to, you know, put stuff out there, but like good peoples. And I remember he had a back to school parade back in 2019, and we had a produce stand at that back to school parade in Columbus Park. So I know people think that like the politicians here don't do nothing and they're not doing nothing, but I want to attest that like personally, they have been so supportive of an Austin-based business that has grown from scratch and helping in whatever way they could to nurture that along. I'm going to shout y'all out, and I want to see y'all at this next pop-up next weekend. Saturday 9 to 3, Sunday 10 to 3 at Austin at 5713 West Chicago Avenue. I'm going to keep saying it. Come out to the pop-up that you want to see you.
Get your nuts.
Nuts to go. 40 Acres Fresh Market.
Get your nuts.
Who else is there? Austin's own Michelle Scott with Thank God for Raw and Vegan Treats, just cooking up goodness. Like different vendors every week. Star Farms is there. Like, come discover new local businesses right here in your neighborhood. You don't have to go elsewhere. That's what we want to tell people is like, just because you can doesn't mean you should have to.
Facts.
I think a lot of people, when I started 40 Acres, I'm going to say this, I know we're over time.
No, you go ahead.
Is they'd be like, that's nice what you're doing. But they always thought like, oh, that's for the people who can't afford food, or that's for the people who can't go to Oak Park. I can go to Oak Park, so I'm fine. I don't need 40 Acres. But a lot of people thought of us as like a charity, as like, because we preach that message of food equality and food access. It's like, no, it's for you. I remember the first time, shout out Darnell came to our market, and he admitted to me. Darnell Shields. Right. He admitted, he's like, you know, I've heard about it, and he's like, but you know, I usually go elsewhere for my groceries. I thought it was a good thing. He's like, you know, but let me check this out. Let me check this out. And he's like, when I was going, I was like, what could this possibly be? They probably don't have much. Their prices are probably higher, but let me support this woman who's trying to do something. He came in. That man spent so much money just on produce, like probably about like $40 worth of produce, which is a lot of produce. And
That's
he was
like,
produce. Yo, those are some of the best blueberries I ever had. He's like, your pricing was right in line with other retailers. He was like, I was shocked by what you were able to do. He's like, I had to disabuse myself of what I thought you couldn't do, and I was shocked by what you presented. He's like, it wasn't just the fact that like you had all this great produce; it was the presentation. It looked nice.
Facts.
The store.
Them peppers I got today look good as hell.
He was like, it was beautifully displayed. It was like the customer service was on point. Like the whole ambiance in this pop-up was not what I was expecting. He's like, I have to catch myself from not expecting a lot out of Austin and realizing that Austin can give us beauty and wonderful things, that I don't have to go elsewhere to get good things. He's like, I gave my dad one of the nectarines from there. I had him eat it. Juices dripping down his chin. And he was like, you know where that's from? And his dad was like, what, some store in some, wherever. He's like, I got that here in Austin, 40 Acres Fresh Market, a pop-up here. He's like, in Austin? Here, you got this good piece. Like, this is the best peach I've had all season.
Facts.
Or nectarine I've had all season. And his dad was like, there's no way this came from this. He's like, this came from this neighborhood. And so I want people to expect more because we deserve more.
Right.
Absolutely.
You should expect that your neighborhood should have a bank, a pharmacy, and some grocery stores on a major commercial corridor.
Right.
You deserve it.
Yeah.
This is not like charity. This is just me seeing people who are not served in their community and valuing you as consumers, valuing your dollar, and saying that you can support and sustain a business. This is not about, oh, you're so needy, I'm here to help you.
Right.
Nah, like, you're a consumer. I see an opportunity. Like, and for so long, people looked at this neighborhood and said, your dollars don't matter. If I want you to really spend with me, I'm going to set up shop outside your neighborhood and make you come to me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's just not how I looked at you guys. I looked at this neighborhood differently.
Well, businesses exist to satisfy a need. So you satisfy the need. You got anybody else over there?
You said I'm tiny.
Yeah.
That's a few of them.
Thanks for this opportunity, and I really get around like-minded people. And Liz, it's so good to know that you exist. Glad to meet you.
Pleasure.
And I'd like to say something else, and that's got nothing to do with what we're talking about. As you know, I'm in the health, and we have the Incompetence Center, and we're doing a series on grief and loss and depression and the signs of depression. So we do this. The last one is this Friday, 12 o'clock. I'm going to give you the number. I know you probably won't write it down, but if you call me and you know my number,
We'll put it on the screen.
Pardon?
We'll put it on the screen because we run this constantly.
Okay, now, so put it on the screen for me, Chief. I don't know how to do that.
No, we'll do it. Just give us the number.
Okay, I'll give you the number. All right, 963-0276-0516. You call that number in, it's a Zoom, and you'll be on with the director of the center and a psychologist, and they're going to talk about grief and loss.
What was the number again?
I know,
To make sure I got it.
I know it's affecting you because it's affecting me. I'm going to a funeral Monday, and I think I'm going to a funeral Friday. So death is all around us. We all have to deal with grief and loss. This is the opportunity.
What's the number again, Tiny?
963-0276-0516. That's at 12 p.m. Friday, the 18th of February.
Okay. Appreciate that. I think that's about some people dropped off.
Okay. Anything else you want to add?
Yes. Don't wait for the store to open to come support. Come out to the Soul City Community Market. 40 Acres Fresh Market will be there with some of our friends like Nuts to Go that DeAndre has been munching on this whole entire time. Their nuts really are fire. They're amazing. And other vendors, come get your produce, your fancy staples, a bite to eat, some snacks. It's at 5713 West Chicago Avenue. Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Sundays, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Don't just come alone. Bring your mama, bring your sister, bring your granddaddy, bring your neighbor, bring that stranger on the bus. Just bring people.
Hey, man, come on to the store, man.
Let's build this habit now. Let's build this habit now so that when the grocery store does open, we have the best chance possible for survival and being successful and being here for years to come.
Deter the people going to Barney's. Just kidding. Get away from that, man. Go get some of this over here. Steve?
Well, I just want to say again, Northwest Austin Council is coming up on its 50th year this year, and looking forward to having our big fiesta towards the end of the year, so keep that in mind.
All right. So for me, I'd like to say we tune in, every Sunday, 6 to 8. There's various ways of interacting with the show. We got the Zoom, we got the Facebook, we got the YouTube. If you're on the Facebook or the YouTube, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like. When you see the stream, share it, right? And if you can, comment, because we can see the comments real time. We can actually import them into the show. That way we are able to connect with the individuals that are watching us on the live stream. So I'm just going to say that, what we're doing here is really building community. And I think it's very important that we continue to highlight people that are making Black history every day, because although we are only limited to a month, so to speak, history is being made literally every day. So I thank you all for allowing us to bring you Liz today and to learn a lot of history that's actually about to take place in Austin, right? And like I say, I do believe this is going to be that key piece that's going to really start to build community in the way that we truly need. So as I always say in closing, they did not want to give us a seat at the table, so we had to create our own. Thank you for allowing us to welcome you to Northwest Austin Council. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
God